Today, we begin exploring a group of nutrients that are small in size but powerful in function, the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. For our learning objectives, by the end of the lesson, the students must be able to identify fat soluble vitamins A, D, and K and explain their chemical properties, describe the dietary sources, absorption, transport, storage, and functions of each fat soluble vitamin, analyze the effects and deficiencies and toxicities of fat soluble vitamins in the body, and relate clinical significance of fat soluble vitamins in laboratory and diagnostic settings. Unlike their water soluble counterparts, these vitamins are lipid derived, meaning they are absorbed, transported, and stored with the help of fats. Their solubility in lipids gives them a unique characteristic. They can accumulate in the body's fat stores, circulate through the lymphatic system, and remain in the body longer, making both deficiency and toxicity clinically significant. Each of these vitamins plays a distinct yet vital role in maintaining health. Vitamin A is crucial for vision, immunity, and cellular differentiation. Vitamin D is famously known as the sunshine vitamin and is essential for homeostasis and bone metabolism. Vitamin E acts as the body's primary fat soluble antioxidant, protecting cells from oxidative stress, and vitamin K is necessary for blood clotting and bone health. In this lesson, we will examine each of these fat soluble vitamins in detail, looking into their chemical structures, sources, absorption and metabolism, physiological functions, and clinical relevance. Let's begin our deep dive into fat soluble vitamins with vitamin A, a key player in vision, immunity, and cellular health. Often referred to as the anti infective vitamin, vitamin A was one of the first vitamins to be discovered, and for good reason. Chemically, vitamin A exists in several forms. The preformed active forms are called retinoids, including retinol, retinal, and retinoic acid, which are found in animal based foods. There's also provitamin form known as the beta carotene, a carotenoid found in colorful fruits and vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, and spinach. Our bodies can convert beta carotene into active vitamin A as needed. Being fat soluble, vitamin A requires dietary fat and bile salts for absorptions in the small intestine. It is packaged into chylomicrons and transported via lymphatic system to the liver, where it is stored in large quantities. From there, it can be mobilized and distributed to tissues bound to retinol binding proteins. One of the hallmark functions of vitamin A is its role in vision, particularly in low light conditions. It is a key component of rhodopsin, a light sensitive pigment in retinal cells. Beyond vision, it supports epithelial integrity, immune defense, and gene expression, especially during cell growth and differentiation. Retinoic acid, the active form, binds to nuclear receptors, the RAR and the RXR, and regulates transcriptions of genes critical for development, immune function, and reproduction. It's also vital for embryogenesis and spermatogenesis. In the clinical practice, assessing vitamin A status is important in evaluating nutritional deficiencies, malabsorption syndromes, and liver disorders, in monitoring parental nutrition. Serum retinol levels or the relative dose response tests may be used depending on the context. Understanding its transport, where retinol travels in the blood bound to retinol binding protein, helps clinicians interpret test results, especially in patients with protein energy malnutrition, fat malabsorption, or liver dysfunction. When vitamin A is deficient, a range of clinical symptoms can occur. The earliest and most well known sign is blindness, followed by serophthalmia, a severe drying and keratinization of the eye that can lead to irreversible blindness deficiency known that also impairs immune function, increasing susceptibility to infections, particularly in children. However, too much vitamin A is also harmful. Hypervitaminosis can result to excessive intake of supplements or high liver diets. Symptoms include headache, nausea, liver damage, bone abnormalities, and tetragonic effects during pregnancy. Because it's stored in the liver, toxicity builds up over time, especially those who supplement without medical supervision.
Talking about a vital nutrient for our health, vitamin D. It is often called the sunshine vitamin. So, vitamin D plays a major role in keeping our bones strong and our immune system working properly. So, for this slide, as for its chemical and property structure, we have vitamin D. It exists in two main forms. We have the vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. First, we have vitamin D2. It is also called is the ergocalciferol. So this type is found in plant-based sources such as mushrooms and fortified foods. Then the next one is we have vitamin D3, or also called as the cholecalciferol. So this form comes from animal-based sources like fatty fish, egg yolks, and beef liver. So our skin can also synthesize D3 when it is exposed to sunlight. So both forms are biologically important, but D3 is more effective in raising vitamin D levels in the blood. And then, next, we have the absorption, transport, and storage. So as for the absorption, vitamin D is absorbed in the small intestine with the help of dietary fats and bile. So it is packed into structures in what we call the micelles. And once absorbed by intestinal cells or enterocytes, it is transported in chylomicrons. And then next, as for the transport, so it occurs in the bloodstream. So vitamin D travels with the help of a special protein. That's what we call the vitamin D binding protein. And then the next, as of the storage, so vitamin D, once in the body, it is stored in fat tissues and the liver, where it stays until the body needs it. So, especially when we don't get enough sunlight or dietary intake, so it serves as storage for our body. And then, third, we have its physiological functions. So, in its physiological function, it has many ways and important functions. First is we have bone health, calcium and phosphate regulation, cardiovascular metabolic effects, and immune system regulation. So first is we have the bone health. So it helps in bone mineralization and remodeling, preventing disease like rickets in children and osteoporosis in adults. And then the second one is we have the calcium and phosphate regulation. So the vitamin D helps control parathyroid hormone levels, which in turn balances calcium in the blood. And then the third one is we have the cardiovascular and metabolic effects. So vitamin D may also help to regulate blood pressure and improve glucose metabolism by influencing the insulin secretion of our body. And then the next one is we have the immune system regulation. So the vitamin D plays a role in adaptive immunity. So by modulating T cells responses and boosting macrophage and dendritic cell activity. And then moving on to diagnostic and toxicity. So if vitamin D is lacking, it can lead to rickets in children, osteomalacia in adults, and increased risk of infections and chronic diseases. So on the other hand, excessive intake may lead to hypercalcemia, which can damage the kidney and other organs. So clinically, vitamin D levels are commonly measured through blood tests and are important in evaluating bone disorders and nutritional status in patients.
So now let's move forward to vitamin E, one of the fat-soluble vitamins derived from lipids. Renowned for its powerful antioxidant properties, vitamin E plays a vital role in protecting cells and maintaining overall cellular health. Now let's talk about the chemical properties of vitamin E. Vitamin E refers to a group of 8 compounds which has 4 tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols, and the most biologically active form in humans is the alpha tocopherol. It contains the chromanol ring, the hydrophobic phytyl side chain, and this structure is key to its function as an antioxidant, protecting cell membranes from oxidative damages. Now let's talk about the dietary sources of vitamin E. Vitamin E is abundant in vegetable oils, nuts and seeds, green leafy vegetables, and fortified foods. Regular consumption of these sources is important to meet daily requirements and maintain antioxidant defenses. Moving on, vitamin E is absorbed in the small intestine with the help of bile salts, pancreatic enzymes, and dietary fats, packaged in micelles then into chylomicrons, thus entering the lymphatic system. And it is also transported in the blood via lipoproteins, which are the low density lipoprotein and the high density lipoprotein. The alpha tocopherol transfer protein in the liver helps regulate distribution. And vitamin E is mainly stored in adipose fat tissue and smaller amounts in the liver, muscles, and adrenal glands. Now let's move forward to the physiological functions of vitamin E. Vitamin E's primary function is an antioxidant, preventing lipid peroxidation in membranes. It also supports immune function, regulates gene expression, and inhibits platelet aggregation, which may reduce cardiovascular risks. Now let's talk about the deficiency and toxicity of vitamin E. The deficiency of vitamin E may occur in individuals with fat malabsorption disorders. Signs include neuromuscular dysfunction, hemolytic anemia, visual disturbances, and impaired immunity. Toxicity of vitamin E may occur due to high dose supplementation. Effects include increased bleeding risks, hemorrhagic stroke, gastrointestinal symptoms, and upper intake limit of 1,000 milligrams a day for adults. Lastly, now let us talk about the clinical and laboratory significance of vitamin E. Serum alpha tocopherol is measured to assess vitamin E status, especially relevant for patients with fat malabsorption, individuals with neurological symptoms of unknown origin, premature infants at risk of oxidative stress, and also used to monitor high-dose supplementation, support research in neurodegenerative and cardiovascular disease prevention. And that is all for vitamin E.
Now, let's talk about vitamin K. It may not get as much attention as vitamins A or D, but it plays a very important role in keeping our blood clotting properly and maintaining healthy bones. Vitamin K comes in two main forms. First, we have vitamin K1, or phyloquinone, which we mostly get from leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, and broccoli. Then there's vitamin K2, or menaquinone, which is produced by the bacteria in our gut and found in fermented foods and some animal products. Since it's fat soluble, vitamin K needs dietary fat to be absorbed in the small intestine. Once absorbed, it travels through the lymphatic system in chylomicrons and is mostly stored in the liver. Now, what does vitamin K actually do? Its main job is to activate certain clotting factors in the blood, specifically factors 2, 7, 9, and 10. Without vitamin K, these proteins cannot function, and our blood won't clot as it should. Even a small cut could lead to excessive bleeding. Vitamin K also helps with bone metabolism by activating osteocalcin, a protein that binds calcium in our bones. Deficiency in vitamin K is rare in healthy adults, but it can be serious. It may cause easy bruising, bleeding gums, or prolonged clotting time. Newborn babies are especially at risk, which is why they're routinely given a vitamin K injection right after birth. In adults, deficiency may happen in people with fat malabsorption disorders, liver disease, or those taking long-term antibiotics, which can reduce gut bacteria. Toxicity from natural sources is very rare, but synthetic forms like vitamin K3, which is no longer used in humans, can be harmful and may cause liver problems or anemia. In the clinical laboratory, we don't usually measure vitamin K directly. Instead, we look at how well the blood is clotting by doing a prothrombin time test, or PT. This test becomes especially important for patients on warfarin, a common blood thinner that works by blocking vitamin K. That is why warfarin users need regular monitoring to make sure their blood doesn't clot too much or too little. So, to sum it up, vitamin K is essential for blood clotting and bone health. You can get it from leafy greens and gut bacteria, and it's something that medical lab professionals should understand, not just for nutrition, but for interpreting lab tests and monitoring patients on anticoagulant therapy.